Hey, what's up, guys? You're listening to the It Takes a Village podcast. I'm Ashley, your host. This is where the struggles are real, the callings are heavy, the kids are sticky. We come together because it takes a village, and this is your tribe. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for listening to the It Takes a Village podcast. Make sure you review, rate, subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. Today, I am talking about basically a follow-up episode to the last week's episode of what I learned in downsizing. And this week, I'm talking about our process for moving from an apartment into a house. So at this point in time, we hadn't actually been looking for a house. And if you guys hear clanking in the background, my kids just figured out that our magnet tiles, those little tiles that you can create and build things with, stick to our refrigerator. And so that is what's going on in the background right now. So I wanted to share with you guys some differences that we've noticed since downsizing and moving into this next house that we didn't necessarily think about or view the same way when we moved into our first house. So this time around, we weren't actively looking. We weren't looking for a house to move into. We had planned on living in this apartment for a year to 2 years to save up money, to, do investment properties, and then buy a house. This house just happened to pop up, and the reason that we paid attention to it is because it was a really good deal in a really good school district, and it was different than if we were actively looking. Then I think I would have been picking and searching for a house that had all the things, like it was, move-in ready, and it had the countertops that I wanted, the kitchen that I wanted, and all these things that I looked for in our first home that were quote unquote requirements. And in this home, it was a good deal for what we were getting. The school district was great, and its flow provided exactly what we wanted. Like when you walk into the house, we wanted a really big room to host a lot of people. Like we wanted our home to be able to be the house where we could have enough seating for everybody for Christmas and big holidays and birthdays and gatherings and all those things. And so this had that room. So I think that was difference number one for me, was just my whole mindset going into the idea of a new house is completely different. And my requirements, my quote unquote requirements for this new house are completely different, in that it doesn't have to be this bigger, better, like our next house has to have all the things, and it has to be the upgraded everything, and it has to, look a certain way. And, that is completely different this time around. And I think that the priority just is, is it able to entertain? Is it in a good school district? And the price. I mean, there's no way that we could buy this house a year from now at the same price. And so it was just kind of an opportunity that landed itself in our laps. And we had to really think about it, because I will have to drive our kids to school about a 15-20 minute drive, which is something that for the first go around was not negotiable. Like I do not get to places on time. And so the idea of dealing with traffic in the morning and having to go there and not being right down the street from our kids was something that I had to get over. Like, okay, but this is a good school district for when they're in junior high. This is the place where, we want to be, and we're so close to the junior high that they will be going to, that they can ride their bikes to school. We can walk to school with them. And so that was a big influence on getting this house and taking the leap of, okay, maybe this is our chance. Maybe this is what we're supposed to be doing, even though it wasn't a part of our plan. Difference number two for me in moving into this house was the main thing that this house needed to meet is that it revolved around our family staying close. Like I mentioned in the last episode, this apartment really brought us together to where we weren't spread all over the house. I think the layout of the house, I didn't really think of that much. Or at least I thought of it differently of, you kind of want the kids to be over here, the kids' rooms, and you would like the playroom to be at this, area of the home, or you would like the living room to be at this area. And this time around, I'm thinking about how is this going to function when we're in it all together? Is it going to have a useless hallway that my kids aren't going to want to spend time in their rooms because it feels so disconnected from the rest of us? Or are they going to be close? And so this time around, we were really looking at it as, can we stay a close family? Can we still do life together? And this house allow us to do that without feeling so spread out, without, it being too big, without just the layout being an issue. And can we have people that will allow it to be just a really good entertaining, a really good relationship building? That I think is something that is a huge difference this time around, is we're looking more at how it's going to affect our family emotionally and with our connecting and socially with others, and just how we can build that up. Like, I don't think I even thought of that in the first house. The third difference is we are going into it with that mindset of we don't need all this stuff. So even though it's a bigger house, we don't plan on filling it with stuff immediately. We don't plan on covering every wall with a piece of furniture or having all the gadgets and gizmos and accessories and da-da-da-da-da. Like in the first house, it was like we had to get the couch and we had to buy the, this table and we had to get this and that. And this time, we're kind of just taking it slow to where we're going to move in with the stuff that we have from the apartment. And if it doesn't work well, then eventually we'll switch it out. And mainly our idea is to still keep it minimal and have the minimal things that allow us to have the home that I just described before this. And, the lesson the difference that I learned a second ago of, what is this going to create for our family socially, emotionally, and physically. I mean, even like, is it going to allow people to sit places, or am I going to have useless furniture just to fill a space because I feel like I'm supposed to? And so our plan is to still move over, taking what we've learned from the apartment as far as, minimalizing stuff, having less junk, and not letting things pile up, not collecting things, and just being really mindful about what we're filling our home with. And also that we don't need all the things. I think we're on difference number 4 now, but difference number 4 moving into this house is that change doesn't stress me out. So I was very nervous moving from a house into an apartment, and that change was very unknown to me, and it was scary, and it was like, well, what if we don't like it? What if we sold our house and we're going to hate, that we did that, and we're going to regret it, and da-da-da-da-da. And, this time, this house caught me so off guard, and my husband, he sent it to me where we weren't even looking. We weren't even physically looking at homes. And I saw this house one time before we bought it. One time, you guys. And so change doesn't really scare me about where our family goes anymore. And it really is this cliche thing that, home is where the heart is. And that is kind of what I feel like. I'm very at peace with the fact that, like, hey, if we're all going together and like we're all living in this space together, we're going to be good because we're together. Like, that's really all that matters. And it'll be great no matter what. Like, maybe there'll be small things to figure out and whatnot, but the whole purpose of living in a house together is because you're grateful for the people in your home, and you're so glad that you're there together that it really doesn't matter where you are. And so I can honestly say that moving into this new home, I have no stress, no worry whatsoever about anything other than getting us in this home. Like the moving part, and that isn't really even stressing me out. I'm just like ready to pack, get over there, and start a new routine, figure out our house, and do life. So next, my 5th difference in buying this house is that I really focused on doing what's best for our family. The first go round for me, I didn't think of, or at least my husband and I did not think of the financial consequences of jumping into buying our home, a new home that had all the bells and whistles right out the gate. Like I said, I do not like to drive my kids to school that far. And this, because our home is in a different city than their school is right now, I'm going to have to drive. And that was really kind of like, well, I don't really want to drive. Like, can't we find a house closer? But I really feel like sometimes you're called to get over these little nitpicky things that you're nitpicky about and do what's best for your family. And so I think that that's the difference in moving this time around, is that we're really looking at how is this buy a good buy for what's best for our family all the way around. Like I mentioned, the space was really important to us. The entertaining is really important to us. Staying connected is really important to us. But also thinking ahead of time, like the future, how much it costs. Will we be able to spend that much later? The ability to walk our kids to school, the ability for them to walk to school, like all these things. And then me having to get over these little nitpicky things, like I'm going to have to drive them farther to school for right now, or it's away, further outside of the city than I planned on, or it's not a brand new house. Like these little nitpicky things, into where we really focused on the big picture of like what is going to best, really, like what is better for our family. And then just diving deep. And I think these are the questions that we have to ask ourselves that maybe we don't look into when we're buying a house, or at least I didn't. I honestly think the hardest thing for me moving into this next house is going to be not wanting to do all the things right away. I'm one of those people who, when I know what we want to do, I'm ready to get it done and I'm ready to do it now. And because this is an older home and there's a lot of personality that we want to put into it, a lot of us that we want to put into it, and a lot of creativeness, and we really want our home to reflect, our vision and our creativity. I want to do it all right now. And that is something that I'm going to have to just hold off on, because I need to be smart for our family. We can't spend a ton of money, doing all these projects right away. And be okay with the fact that we are going to probably have the oddest looking house for a long time, and accepting that, hey, when you come over, like, this is a house in progress. This is a home in progress, but it's going to have a lot of love. It's going to have a lot of fun. And that's all that matters. Like, we aren't going to have the fancy things or the big couch, and it's not going to look like, a Joanna Gaines, home. Like, I'm not going to take time to decorate really right now until we figure out what it is that we're going to do with certain walls or certain rooms. And then once we have made the changes and we've created it the way we want it to, then I'll invest the time into decorating and, buying an extra chair or putting up pictures. But for now, I think we're just going to enjoy our home. We're going to enjoy this process of moving, and hopefully just pray that this home brings us a lot of joy and a lot of company, a lot of visits, a lot of, gatherings, and just more connecting with each other as a family. But if you guys are wondering, would I downsize again, or was it worth it? 100% yes. I love this whole experience of downsizing, getting rid of all the stuff. And I think that the way it changed our family and our kids having to share a room and living a different lifestyle and being grateful for the space that we have, no matter how big or small it is, I think it was just an awesome experience that I would suggest is good for everybody to try out, and really be okay with the fact that your house doesn't have to be all the things, or it doesn't have to be this or that. As long as you're together, like, that's really truly what it's about. And it's not some just cheesy saying that you put in your kitchen, on a wooden plaque board, but that it really is true, and that you guys really find how you can do that together, instead of trying to do all the other things or thinking that you need to add more to bring connection to your family, because that's not necessarily true. So that is our journey, moving from a home to an apartment, back into a home again. So in case you guys are wondering, that is our story, and hopefully I will get to share more of it with you guys. So make sure you subscribe, again, like I said, so you don't miss any awesome episodes. I would love to hear from you guys. So make sure you comment over on Instagram, at @theashcarol, or shoot me a message on the website, theashcarol.com. Hope you guys have an awesome day. I hope you listen in next week. Bye, guys.